Well, this year marks the 5th year of Platinum Week. And every year, one of the most popular topic is about the trend and status quo of PGM market. It is fair to say that the PGM market performance since the beginning of this year has surprised in a pleasant way the industry a lot. And the price move has attracted a lot of attention from the market. Against this backdrop, what are other exciting trends that are ongoing in the industry? In the face of the challenges and opportunities, how should we see it? So it is our great honor to have with us 4 experts from 4 various industries who are going to shed light on the industry trends. Well, because we are running behind the schedule, and also because a lot of the panelists are familiar faces to Platinum Week, we will cut into the discussion phase. So the first discussion topic is about how do you see the status quo of the industry. Just like Ms. Wen Hui in her presentation expressed that the fiberglass industry now is in the process of scaling production, improving the quality of development. So may I ask the first question to Mr. Ji, where do you see such changes are occurring or are happening? And also, can you shed light on how your institute, the Nanjing Research Institute of Fiberglass, can play a role here? Thank you. Thank you very much for asking this question. I would like to echo what previous speakers in the morning session mentioned, that fiberglass experienced a fast phase of development in China. In the past, we relied upon the 2-step method to produce fiberglass, and now we produce fiberglass using 1-step method. And single furnace capacity increased from the previous 1,000 tons capacity to the current hundreds of thousand tons. So it is fair to say that the growth has been exhilarating, and now we as an industry are pursuing quality instead of simply size increase. And in terms of the specific applications, in the past, fiberglass were mainly used as construction materials as well as basic materials, but now they find use in 5G PCB boards as well as aeronautics and astronautics field. In particular, or in terms of the specific implementation method, in the past, it was more of a unidirection or a single direction. But now we rely on technology innovation, green production, quality improvement, and efficiency improvement, as well as synergy of the value chain. These are some of the main trends that we are seeing today. And as for my research institute, we play a leading role in innovation. For example, we're advocating for the use of new type of furnace, and also we work on the design of bushings, and we also lead the industry's pursuit of going smarter and more intelligent. Well, I hope that answers your question. Thank you very much, Mr. Ji. We see the change from the industry, but we should never neglect the trend in the end market. I remember that there was a news report published on one of the international news media that caused global attention to that attracted global attention to China's platinum market. So the question is to you, Wang from Guohua shopping mall. How do you see the current recovery of platinum jewelry demand, and do you think it's sustainable or not? Thank you very much. Thanks to the WPIC and to SPW for the invitation. I'm from Guohua shopping mall. We are a retail shopping mall, but we have a very good very good image in the mind of consumers. So since the beginning of this year, we have seen the sales of platinum jewelry tripled, both in terms of platinum jewelry and the platinum bars. We see increase in both market segments. I think gold is an important reason, because gold is now very expensive, so platinum represents a very good substitute. And given the current low price of platinum, people tend to think that the upside is large. That's why platinum regains attention. And second reason is the investment value of platinum becomes more widely understood, and thanks to the WPIC that has done a lot improving consumer awareness of the value of platinum. And third reason is because of the supply-demand gap, which pushed the fast increase of platinum price over the past 2 months. And fourthly, I think that everyone in the industry has worked very hard in driving the value case of platinum. After more than a decade, when platinum value become discovered by the market, those who have persisted are the first batch of beneficiaries. So in terms of future, firstly, you need to look at some of the positive factors. Platinum now gets attention of people, and people are discussing about platinum. And given the people's preference of buying things when prices are going up instead of when prices are going down, well, to some extent that sustained the investment case or the value case of platinum. However, there are also negative factors. Shanghai Gold Exchange still has yet failed to open access to investors to return their platinum and exchange platinum for money, which makes people tend to be conservative in that. And second, platinum does not differentiate itself from gold. So I think the two factors, at least they do not contribute to the sustained development of platinum. If you want to see platinum to sustain, I think that whole industry must firstly have confidence and second, take actions. Thank you very much. You have joined the point that platinum relies upon whole industry for collective effort. Speaking of jewelry, we cannot forget to mention Shuibei in Shenzhen. Shuibei is the largest distributor, and Shenzhen Platinum Association has a coordinating office on the 10th floor of Shuibei that gives a monthly update of platinum price movement. We are very happy to have with us Mr. Wang, who is not only the director of Shenzhen Jewellery Museum, but also the Shenzhen Jewellery Industry Party Secretary in Luohu district. He has personally witnessed the more than 2 decades of development of not just platinum, but jewelry as a whole. So, from your perspective, do you think that Shenzhen can offer some preferential policies, in particular regards preferential tax policies that can continue to support the case of platinum? Well, just in Shuibei, actually, there are a lot of positive factors that I can elaborate on later on. In terms of industry policies, in 1981 at Shuibei in Luohu, there was the first gold jewelry company born there, and then Shenzhen has launched some systematic policies supporting the development of Shuibei, and Shuibei now has nearly half of the whole jewelry market, well, at least the 2B jewelry market in the country. So speaking of preferential policies, in terms of the tax benefits, as early as 2000, in particular in Shuibei in 2011 and over the past couple of years, we managed to make our voice heard by way of sending our proposals to the National People's Congress or the local People's Congress, like the local branch of National People's Congress. But as you know, tax decisions or tax policies can only be made by the national government. So what we can do is we try to make our voice heard by the decision makers at the national level, but still we do not see any substantial implementation of tax policies. But from the industry perspective, we do have a lot of supporting policies to support industry to make innovations. And in the past couple of years, in terms of helping companies with R&D, helping companies with talent hiring, we have launched a number of preferential industrial policies to support these companies. And we see the healthy development of gold jewelry and platinum jewelry industry is not possible without support of preferential industry policies. From that, on that note, I think that if companies were to, if maybe in the future companies can communicate better with relevant government authorities about their thorny issues or their bottleneck issues, that will help us to launch better preferential policies to support their development. Thank you very much. So, exploration and experiment by Shui Bei laid a solid foundation for the development of PGM industry and platinum industries in particular. However, you need to always have dynamic monitoring of the status of the industry. On that note, I would like to throw this question to Dr. Xu Yue from Shanghai Jiao University. Do you think that China's current industry monitoring mechanism or system, is it already comprehensive enough? Do you see any areas where improvement is still needed to support the development of the platinum industry? Firstly, thank you very much to WPIC, to SPW for the invitation. Our team have developed a dynamic monitoring system that monitor the status of precious metal. So please allow me to give you a brief introduction of the system. We have a dynamic monitoring system of precious metal. We do yearly update of the major stock, production, trade value, and volume, and we display it in a dynamic system. We calculate a couple of key dimensions and indicators so as to point the way to, or so as to indicate major risks of precious metal. From that perspective, I think that there are three areas that further improvement can be done. First is to improve the real-time data flow feed. This is really important, fundamental. For example, production on the mine side and also the distribution of inventory. Such data is either in the hand of the customs or the producers or the retailers or the distributors, but the data is scattered, which makes it impossible for us to have real-time deep understanding of the status quo of PGM industry. So I think that at the national level, we can establish a national dynamic map so as to gather all kinds of data, including from customs, so as to calculate in real time the flow of PGM and also make predictions about when different types of PGMs will become scrapped at what specific time point. That's for one thing. And second, I think we can establish a risk warning model. We could see that during Russia-Ukraine conflict, palladium price moved a lot. The fluctuation was quite dramatic. And recent hydrogen economy developed, which led to the case for boosting demand for platinum. So we can establish a dynamic risk radar system, and we can use crawling, like internet crawling system and software to crawl data from the internet, in particular with regard to sudden supply disruption, in order to make predictions about possible risks. And thirdly, we can establish a system to predict the future supply-demand dynamics. Currently, our current system lags behind in terms of how they gather or how they monitor demand from the end user. For example, ICE's demand for PGM is going down. However, we fail to track data in a really real-time manner. But PHEV, the emergence of PHEV also increased the demand for platinum. However, we failed to reflect that as well. So I think that if the data can be updated in real time, that will help us to make predictions about the supply-demand gap, probably at least in a year. And if all three systems are in place, that will help us to have a real-time pulse, to feel the real-time pulse of the PGM industry in China.
So for the panelists, just discuss the current status of the industry. So now we are going to go to the second round of the questions. So I want to invite the four of you. So what can industry do to do better? And this year, this is the 5th year of SPW. And next year, and is the starting point of SPW to go to the second 5-year, and next year is also the beginning year of China's 15th 10-year plan. So we want to see and from different perspectives and see how and do PGM, how does PGM and have better development. So I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Ji. So if we look forward to the 15th 5-year plan and the high quality development and for the bushing, for the glass fiber industries in terms of the bushing materials and any new demand, any challenges to the usage of the platinum PGM. And you know the producing of the fiberglass and is characterized by the mines and the key equipment and is using the bushings and made by platinum. So after being melted and then like the stretch is even thinner and lighter than the hair. So that's why we must use the bushings and using the platinum. So that's why, and you can see the materials temperature is around 1200 to 1500 degrees Celsius, and it is very good at electricity conductivity, and under high temperature it is good at anti-corrosion, and it's not easy and to have the emulsion. And you can see, and due to the changes of the platinum and due to the changes of the platinum and the rhodium alloy, and of course, and we have some new changes in the future. So we still focus on the platinum-based metals, and we are going to do some oxidize and to making the materials of platinum to maintain a very good performance. I think this is what we are going to focus and on the next 15th 10-year plan. Okay, so thank you so much. So let's back to the jewelry industry, and we see that during this time's research and this new wave of platinum, and by now, and it's still at the B end, and which means producing and processing and wholesaling. So to really achieve the recovery of the sustainable development of platinum, so the key is still and to attract the consumers. And we are going to give the floor to Mr. Wang. So I believe Guohua and has rich experience in serving the clients. So do you believe and for the consumers and who buy the platinum products and who are they, and how can we provide better services to them? Okay, so Guohua, actually we started to operate under the platinum jewelry since the year 1992, so 30 years. So basically, Guohua developed together and with China's platinum market. So in terms of the customer profile, so it can be set to the traditional profile and the current changes. And for the traditional profile, we believe platinum is targeting at young ladies, and from 25 to 35-year-old. They are very fashionable. They pay attention to details. They care about quality. They are not sensitive to the prices. However, in order to satisfy the others, they are better at express themselves and please themselves. So when platinum just entered the China market, so platinum labeled or positioned the consumers like this. So after so many years of development, of course, the label is changing. I personally, and it's also the first generation of platinum, and up to today, so I'm already at my middle age. And of course, the consumption needs are changing, so we are more practical, and we pay more attention to platinum in addition to the jewelry. So can we have the added value or keeping the value at least for the precious metal, and then the platinum itself, and in the process of changing, so maybe can we and have better designs to meet the needs. So the piece of products I like in my 20s will definitely be different for the pieces I like in my 40s. And for the user profiles of platinum, so male is coming in the beginning, and the platinum is used for weddings, like the 3 rings, like platinum plus diamond. But for now, a lot of the young men, and like Mr. Lin shared, and actually he is my friend. He was born after 1993, so he's a deep user of platinum, and he developed new products for platinum. So actually, and among our users and a lot of the young men, they also like platinum. Of course, the design and compared with the platinum, only if design for women are totally different. Number 3. and the investment. And the people originally were not so sensitive and to the price of platinum. If the stories are good, people were going to buy. But for now, and people care more about precious metal. And platinum as a precious metal, and can platinum provide more values in addition to the beauty, in addition to the design. So that's why these are the changes in the past 20 to 30 years. So how to solve them better? Of course, we still need to start from their profile. So first, as the brand, a jewelry brand, we still need to pay attention to the jewelry itself, and we want to start from the crafts and the design of the upstream and the product presentation, so can better show the features of platinum and the tone of platinum instead of copying gold. So in the past, platinum was more like a pearl and the queen and of the jewelries. But why today platinum jewelries are copying gold jewelries? So that's why, and we need to make some really different and unique products. And people see that after wearing this platinum jewelry and what I'm going to be. So you need to have these labels to your users. And then back to the value investment, of course, and we wish and the Shanghai Stock Exchange and Shanghai Gold Exchange and then can open the channel, and then investors can come in as early as possible. Okay, so following up Ms. Wang's sharing, I wanted to have a follow-up question. So from the platinum jewelry and to platinum investment, how do you define platinum's position in precious metals? So if you ask me to define a platinum, I would say, so this is a kind of a premium precious metal and with the brightness and diversified positioning. What is diversified positioning? Because platinum has both industrial feature and the precious metal feature. So that's why. So platinum is driven by the industrial needs. At the same time, platinum can includes like the tones of precious metals. The price is stable. And back to the consumption or to the jewelry consumption market. Of course, and it has both the jewelries at the consumption end and investment end. So that's why I consider, so this is a diversified, premium precious metal. Thank you. Next question goes to Mr. Wang. So we see the industry of gold industry is not become so good overnight. And from Mr. Wang's perspective, so for the platinum jewelry industry, so currently, so anything we can learn from the gold jewelry development. So people really care about this question. So in our industry, there's a metaphor, and since that gold is like the sun, and the platinum is like the moon. And so some is gold is very precious and very sunshine, and platinum and is like the moon. I think we can learn, platinum can learn from the pathway of gold from three things. The first is that how can we better satisfy the consumers' needs? So we need to the need of the consumers. This is very important. And if the market recognizes the products, and then the trust build up, and then the sales are going up. So that's why we can see the gold, has very long history together with the human beings. However, the history of platinum is short. However, behind the platinum, there are a lot of stories to share, and then our consumers, our target audience, can better understand the features of platinum. For example, in today's SPW and the application of the platinum in industrial industry, so as a practitioner and from jewelry industry, it is a new knowledge to me. So that's why we needed to let consumers understand and recognize it. Secondly, and for the platinum jewelry must be recognized by the industry. You must capture the product quality, and I think this is a very important lifeline to go further. You need to pay more attention to the quality of the product. You can see the processing and the process and is stricter. So 10 to 20 years ago, and platinum reached the high. So we discovered that there are some problems of the quality, and with the progress of technology, we clearly see that the product quality is very good. So with the advancement of technology and the industry, so we needed to capture the quality of the product. We needed to capture the lifeline and of the platinum product quality. Number 3. So together and compared with the other gold jewelries, I think the platinum needed to do the integration of upstream and downstream. It's not only one category. So we needed to go together and with the whole society. Okay, so whatever the jewelry and industry and investment of this cannot live without and sustainable development. China is the world's biggest consuming country of platinum. However, China has very limited platinum resources, hugely rely on the imports. So that's why the construction of the city mines and demand more attention. So this question goes to Dr. Xu Yue. So your research focus on the overall industrial chain of platinum, especially the city mines. So how do you think about the recycling of platinum compared with Japan and the other countries, and any experience we can learn from? Thank you. I think currently, and for China, in terms of the recycling platinum, and China has its own strength and disadvantages. And from the positive side, we clearly see that the recycling of platinum has achieved some progress. For example, according to our analysis, since year 2021 to 2024, and so the platinum after recycling, so compared with the platinum from the mines, recycling is 7 times higher than the platinum we got from the mines. So that's why we have a certain foundation and technology and for recycling and reduce the reliance and on the dependence on the mines. Of course, we have some other problems. Firstly, you can see China's you can see the platinum and some like jewelry and car catalyst. So you can see that the using period is very long, so it's difficult to come to the recycling stage. But if they build the city mines and for the platinum products and come from the consumption and to the recycling, come to the reuse stage, this is the core. And secondly, you can see China's platinum recycling industry still has some problems of the systems. The system is not complete, like Mr. Bian mentioned, and the execution is not consistent. And number 3, and for the recycling technology, there are still some shortages of the structures compared with Japan and some other advanced countries. And in terms of the recycling technology of wasted, complicated wasted materials, there's still a gap. Take the advantage of take Japan's example. Actually, for Japan, so in terms of the reuse and recycling of the metals, and we can learn a lot of experience from them. For example, Japan has a very complete law and to support recycling, like process the wasted TV and air conditioning. They have very, very complete home appliances recycling law, and personal computer and batteries. They also have a law and naming as the promoting the efficiency and reuse of materials. And they also have like the vehicle rules, and the government, they have some subsidies from 2020 to 2022. They set up a kind of the metal recycling system, the validation projects, and for each year there's 500 million Japanese yuan a budget, and this is called the policy and the subsidies and the efficiency of the reuse of the resources. So if we get this together,
this will promote companies to have some result in recycling. In terms of the measures, actually Japan has its own characteristic of recycling measures. For TV and for refrigerator is mandatory recycling, which means that when consumers, if they want to buy new products, they pay for getting their used product recycled, and they can choose. Well, the government encourage consumers to either trade in their products, even for scrap vehicles. Such vehicles must be sold in the secondary market in an immediate manner. And the government is also working on policy research. For example, the chip from PCB board, how to pull the chip off the PCB board, and how to separate precious metal from the substrate. It is rumor has it that during Tokyo Olympic Games, the gold medal is made of recycled metal. So I do think that we can learn a lot from all these measures. Thank you very much, Dr. Xu Yue, for this expert's view. Thanks very much to all the panelists for the previous rounds of discussions. We covered the status quo and policy strategies. We are now ready for the last topic about outlook. Again, the first question. I would like to ask the first question to Mr. Ji. I would like to ask the question to you about bushing. Bushing alloy material is a popular topic of the industry as well. During this year's London Platinum Week, some analysts mentioned that gold might be used to replace platinum. In the meantime, fiberglass companies in China have started to use platinum in making bushing to replace rhodium that's more expensive. So what's your view on that? Fiberglass, in the process of fiberglass production, the bushing needed for fiberglass fabrication. So the bushing materials in terms of platinum, because of the scarcity of platinum, and the composite of platinum and rhodium, the price. Because of all these factors, we, from the industry perspective, have been researching about new materials or optimized use of the existing materials. So, from our industry's perspective, some people from the industry came up with a lot of means to try to achieve that. For example, once some people wanted to use nickel to replace platinum, but in the process of use, nickel's heat radiation makes it intolerable for the operator. And also this year, people mentioned that someone mentioned that they want to use ceramic to replace. And when rhodium price was quite high, there were people proposing to use iridium, which has very similar properties with rhodium, to replace rhodium in the rhodium platinum alloy. Iridium was used in a limited scope. However, though people were able to produce such alloy, they couldn't make it mass. They couldn't do mass production. Indeed, we also heard recently that some people propose the idea of using palladium to replace platinum as a bushing material. Yes, they considered the price difference. However, palladium compared with platinum has very obvious shortcomings when they are used to make bushings. So this is only at the very early stage. We have a partner company that have only started to use palladium for 1 week or two, and they only used palladium to replace platinum in very limited area of bushing. So it's still something that's what we have to wait and see. And platinum rhodium alloy remains the most classic material for bushing, and platinum's value as a base material is irreplaceable at the time being. Thank you very much. From your answer, we see that cost is not only factor for consideration. Property is another important factor when making decisions. Ms. Wang Yi, I would like to ask you, jewelry companies, how can they capture the current opportunities given the current market movement? I always believe that only those who are prepared can capture opportunities. Now that opportunities have presented themselves, in the context of price movement and market prosperity. I think that companies, they need to show composure. They need to show their ability to not blindly follow the trend. For platinum is synonymous with resilience and persistence. So the characteristics of platinum should be a reminder to all of you. Even though the price is going up, the core mission of us is to protect the market, to nurture the market by sticking to our quality promise. We shall grow together with the customers, educate them instead of simply trying to pursue short-term gain. So I think that if you read the slogan of 2025 SPW, you will find that the slogan very much echo the trend of platinum. In order for platinum to shine brightly, everyone in the industry must put in collective effort instead of making the current platinum brilliance a transitory phenomenon, but rather we need to leverage all the forces from the industry to make it perennially shining. I got inspiration from previous panelists' answer when talking about making platinum more popular. Traditional thinking is to focus on marketing. However, I got inspiration from previous panelists, and China's President Xi Jinping mentioned that new quality productive force, which is a term raised by President Xi Jinping. So the term is new quality productive force is something that we shall use to make platinum become popular again amongst consumers. Thank you very much. So to summarize what she has mentioned, despite all the market hype, companies should should be more composed and should think about where to go down the road. The next question goes to Shenzhen. Shuibei is at a critical juncture of transformation. So at this critical juncture, what should be the way forward for Shuibei, and how do you see platinum can contribute its due share? Yes, in 2014 we established Shuibei Gold Jewellery agglomeration cluster. So the first jewelry company was established in 1981 in Shuibei, celebrating its 40th anniversary this year, and this year also marks the 5th anniversary of Platinum Week. So all of these make the year 2025 very special. When we look back at the journey of the industry, it gives us inspiration about the way forward. So speaking of Shuibei, we've experienced ourselves the journey over the past 4 decades. There are some main threads. Firstly, the industry grows with the economic growth, overall economic growth. In the past, only gold, and then a whole portfolio of metals, and now gold again. So in the future, I think that the jewelry market will be more diversified because it is in human nature to have diversity, which represent possibility for Shuibei. And second, gold jewelry represent a good carrier. We shall convey the good idea or the good significance coming with gold to the consumers. We hope to see more events like SDW in Shenzhen to convey our confidence, our promise to the consumers. We are very confident in the future. Thank you very much. The last question for this panel discussion, I would like to ask it to Dr. Xu Yue. For industry to grow, university and research efforts are key underpinning factor. Outside of the conference room, you could find that Valterra has been working very hard, collaborating with university and research institutes. So from your perspective, how do you see opportunities coming from such collaboration? Thank you very much. This is a question that I have been thinking about ever since I started research on platinum, because I found that in addition to industry experts as well as the faculty and students who have a personal investigation and research projects involving platinum, rarely people outside of this limited scope know anything about platinum. Why? This is a question I've been thinking about, and the answer I come up with is, firstly, we need market education in general, but then at the micro level, university research institute need to work with the industry. Students, they represent the future. They are the future generation of labor supply, and also they represent the future supply of backbone force for the platinum industry as well. So I think student club and student association are very important parts. Take our university, Jiao Tong University, as an example. Law School of Jiao Tong University every year hosts an event called IP Week. They leverage this event to give general education about intellectual property. And with their effort, more and more students know more about law and IPR law in particular. And I also find that there are other schools at Jiao Tong University and actually students' clubs and associations in these various schools. They can host their version of platinum events, just like Shanghai Platinum Week, so that they can be ambassador, they can be the voice, spreading the word out about platinum to have more people interested in platinum and getting into the research field of platinum. So that's for one thing about market education. And second, in terms of collaboration, firstly, you can conduct platinum-related project research, but this is more specific to schools and departments that already have some foundation in research of platinum. For example, our School of Economic Management, they can do a research project on risk model for PGM, for platinum market. That's one project that they can do. And second, I have always think that the academic seminar hosted by various schools and departments at Jiao Tong University always are very good opportunity to spread the word out about platinum. And during these academic seminars, experts from the industry and university professors and researchers can also be invited to discuss some of the latest and most relevant topics. And lastly, I think that with collaboration, researchers, they can do a field tour of the companies, knowing about their research that the companies are doing and the difficulties that they are facing. On the other hand, companies can have access to university brain, like to the best and the brightest brains in the university, accessing their technology and ideas to contribute to the commercialization of research results. Thank you very much. Thanks to all four panelists for their wonderful insights. We heard from their insights not only deep insight, but also human touch. We spread or we dissect industry, but we also have a more general or more overall understanding of platinum. But today's panel discussion is only the beginning, and there are a lot of areas that we can explore jointly in order to tell the future narrative of platinum. Thank you once again. Thanks to all the panelists, and also thanks to the audience for being with us, for staying with us.